Hey, this is part 2 of a series in which I'm going to give you my best tips for winning a Savate fight. Same conditions apply as before. I'm talking about Savate Assaut, or no force striking, which you land but you don't try and hurt, so it becomes a game or a sport, and hopefully both of you leave the encounter with no more damage than how you started. So once again, if you're going to comment that this would not work in full contact, you may be right. First one. The best move that you can make tactically is not necessarily the best Savate technique, but the move that your partner least wants you to make. If they don't like getting punched, punch them. If they don't like kicks to the high line, that's what you should throw. If they're no good moving back, push them back. If they don't like moving to their right, push them to the right, and so on. The most direct route to putting them off and getting under their skin, so to speak, is to do what they least want you to do within your own repertoire. So there's no point trying to do something that you're going to be so weak at that it won't work. But if you are able to do something, it's within your strength and your skill set, and they don't want it, that's the one you should do first. That's our first principle. Our second tactical principle or way of winning a Savate fight is to use what I call a points production line, by which I mean don't just throw your punches and your kicks and hope for the best, hope that you're going to win. I often ask my fighters to show me where they expect the next point to come from. That's where this production line idea comes into play. Very rarely can we just throw a strike and it lands. It's 2 or 3 strikes down the line. It could be that you set up a low shot by throwing high. Throw 2 or 3 punches high, kick low, there's your point. And then you repeat that. 2 or 3 punches high, low kick, 2 or 3 punches high, low kick. You've got your setup and you've got your point scoring opportunity. There's your production line, and you repeat it until your opponent works you out or they adapt to it. In that example, you will need to account for the rule in Savate that says that punches cannot predominate over kicks. You have to throw more kicks. So perhaps you shave off a couple of the punches or add in a double kick or a spin to make sure you're staying in the rules but still scoring your points using that core setup. Maybe the way to score a point is to bait, leave an opening, and counter. Maybe it's to back off, and then go forward. In any of these cases, what you want to have is a way of scoring points so the judges score each exchange for you. Modern Savate judging training recognizes that it's scored on a per exchange rather than a per strike basis. So a judge is trained to look at the 2 fighters and score each exchange at a time. So if you're winning the exchanges, you're winning the fight. Don't think about it in terms of single points at a time. Think about a whole sentence rather than the individual words, to use an analogy. You are writing the words with your techniques, and at the end of the sentence you put a full stop, allow the judges time to score for you, and you're winning. I owe that analogy to Martin Ross, an early Savate influence of mine and a great team coach. Hope you're watching. Next one, and this is slightly more controversial. Keep thinking. Savate is a thinking sport, I believe. You don't just go in and flail your arms and try and win with pure aggression or brute force. You've got to be a bit smarter than that, and that's why I like it. It brings thinking people in, and it means thinking people often do well when they compete. So don't switch off. You might prefer or feel better going in with a sort of no mind or zen emptiness, or allowing yourself to be open to all possibilities. But I favour taking control a little bit more. Thinking your way through allows you to adapt in a way that empty mind doesn't, and you don't get swept along by the current. If you go in expecting just to get into flow and into this reactive, intuitive sense, you can be carried along by the forces of your opponent. If you want to impose something on that, you need to think your way through. So keep switched on and allow yourself to adjust. If I've not been successful on my left lead, I might think, well, should I switch to my right? And I wouldn't get that unless I was thinking. I can particularly remember a time in which I lost the first round of a fight, went back to my corner and said, he's baiting me and I can't get out the way of his counter to my left. I'm going to switch lead. Because I think it through, I'm able to adapt quicker than my opponent. Keep thinking It's an intelligent sport. There are angles, there are tactics, there's give and take. You need to have your mind switched on in order to make it work. You know that expression in poker, if you can't work out who the sucker is at the table, it's you. That applies in a two-person fight as well. Not to mention that it helps when you go back to your corner and they've got some advice for you. You've got some cognition going on that helps you to assimilate the advice. More of this though in a later video in which I will go through how and why you can train your cognition, your attention, usefully when you box. Last point on this tactical exercise, while you're thinking, make sure you have fun. That's the emotional aspect. I think that applies to assaut more than full contact sports because you're not in that much danger of being badly hurt and you haven't got a malevolent intent from the opposition. So smile and have some fun. It lifts your mood. It allows you to create and to move and to situate yourself in better ways than if you're solemn and nervous and negative. Make sure you're enjoying it. It'll lift you up, it'll loosen you out, you have less tension, and at the end of it all, by which I mean at the end of the fight, at the end of the year, at the end of a career, you're going to spend more of your time in that ring having fun. Those are all my tactical tips for today. Let me know what you think. Are you going to use any? Do you compete in Savate or something else? Has something resonated, given you an idea? Let me know.